So I'm in Walmart today and walking around looking at the movies, picking up a thing from my uncle, my buddy there. And I walk by the movie rack and they have this just sort of chilling there. And I'm like, no price tag. So you know how to pick it out. Well, I go over to scan and it's $14. And I thought, $14 for a Slumber Party Massacre remake from 2021. Sure. So I read the back here, and it's got some puns, and I thought that's pretty promising. Go to a cabin, isolated thing, but someone has an axe to grind and a few other sharp implements. An evening meant for fun games and descending into the night of chaos and fear. Yada yada. The most fun Slumber Party Massacre yet. And so I put it in and I watch it. And I think, okay, So we get a basic setup. And there's going to be spoilers here. I don't think anyone's like, oh, please don't spoil 2021 Slumber Party Massacre. No one's asking for this. So I put it in, and we immediately see, like, the flashback of what happened in, I think it's 1993. I think that's what it said on screen. I just finished watching this like a minute ago. And so, the drill goes through the door, and you see this, and they run away, and they scream, and someone gets drilled, and then, boom, cut to modern day. They're all driving out there, and they're gonna go to the cabin in the woods, but oh no, there's a gas station, and guess what's happening in that gas station? Their fuel leakage pump thing is broken. And the guy's like, I can't fix it. I'll never be able to fix it. And so they have to stay at a random cabin overnight where there's potentially a murderous killer nearby, which is also the same one from 1993. And so they go to the cabin, and the one girl who wasn't supposed to call them along stole beer. And the lady's like, you must stay there. That's a bad place. And you know what? Yeah, it is. She was totally right. And this is tough. Because the first one is straightforward. Girls are having a slum party. They die from a person who gets drilled. The first kill is he murders someone in a telephone van. And he says, I love you, and sneaks around the bushes and kills some dude. It's a mostly forgettable movie from 1982. The second one has a musical element, sort of like the Freddy Krueger, he comes out of your dreams, and they have a band like Wednesday, and it's fun, it's quirky, it's 80s, and he pops out of a dream, and he wants to drill all over you, and there's a fun musical number. You can look up there, and oh my goodness, my hair is spiking. That one's really fun. I like Slumber Party Massacre 2. Slumber Party Massacre 3 is not even worth your time. So, on this one, they all get to this place, and then they realize, hey, there's a killer. Oh no, what should we do? So they immediately pull out guns and knives and everything from around their pillows and baseball bats because they were prepared for this situation. I think I was supposed to laugh, but I didn't. Before I continue, this movie has a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score from 18 reviewers. And when I say that, I'm not kidding. This is a 100% perfect movie on Rotten Tomatoes from reviewers. You can look it up. And so then, as they're about to do this, and the killer is on the loose, and he's doing all this, two dudes knock on the door, but because this is a 2021 movie, they reverse the roles, and the dudes are idiot. So the dudes have a slumber party shirtless and dance around and do all this nonsense, which is actually, that's fun. That's different to see in a movie. I mean, it's got a lot less male nudity than Jackass Forever, which is, you see a lot of, in that one, but in this one, you just see a lot of, chests and nipples and dudes dancing around, and so they go there, girls it's girls only weekend, and the guy's like, let's go, they have a knife, so they leave him alone. So they think these girls are murderers across the lake, and the girls are like, whatever, they're doing their thing. So they decide that the killer is on the loose and they have to hunt him down. So they're all like, hey, guess what? You know what? We're women, we got this, we're kick-ass. As long as we stick together, we got this. They immediately scatter. It's no, it's just immediately scatter. Then they all run around, and then it, like, in a movie where the killer is a little secretive, and you're like, oh, we don't want to show the killer because that's the mystery that keeps you coming back. Now they immediately show the killer, and then she like faces off, and she like, runs at him, but then she loses the knife, and then he like chases her through the woods, and like whatever, and then she runs into a dude, and this dude's got the guitar from number 2, and he's like, oh, and then he dies, and that's the end of that dude. But these guys have like guy number 1, 2, 3, and 4, like they don't have names, so they're parodying like the sort of nameless victims in these movies. I think this is supposed to be funny. I think jokes are funny, right? Like if I told you a joke, be like, what did DJ Khaled say to his divorce lawyer? Another one. You should laugh, right? So they run around, they do all this, and the girls eventually corner him. They look like they're apart, but the filmmakers are like, oh no, they're together. So they beat him with a baseball. This from a mother. I guess they're related to the people in the first scene that I completely forgot existed. And then they like beat him down, and the girls just put beaters, shoving him with a machete, and they're beating him with a baseball bat, and yada yada. So they beat the crap out of this guy, who's killed one guy and put him in a freezer, but he left a beer in his hand perfectly because you need a cold one for a cold body. There was a... this should have been a one-liner, because the guy's just like, he says I love you to the girls, but like to the dudes, like he just kills them. I wish he had said, he's like, hey guy number 2, you're dead now, congratulations. Rely back on this DVD cover here. If you slide it up, there's 2 faces screaming at the drill. So then the girls are like, haha, we killed you. But the movie's not over yet, and there's still like 40 minutes left. So at this point, I'm like, what the heck are they doing? So the dudes across the lake are still thinking that these girls are murderers, because now they like went back across the lake, even though they thought they were murderers, and saw them hacking up a body with a machete. So now they're over there being like, oh man, we have to call the police. And this girl's eating like poison cookies that are going to make her puke later in the film. And they're like, oh no, I bet the dudes did it, because someone's still killing people, And so, so they're going around, and like this dude goes to a shower, and they play some like weird Tommy Wiseau music, and they play the whole song, and he's like, look at me, I'm sexy, I'm having a shower, it's a parody on the 80s, and then he gets like killed with like a thing, and then like the nail gun starts shooting, and then they're all running around because like the killer's still there, and like the dudes did it, and the girl's like, nah, the girls are like, the dudes did it, and the girls are like, the dudes are like, the girls did it, and vice versa. I just think I messed up that metaphor. Sort of like, when you put too much pepper in your coffee. So they come face to face, and he's got a stick, and she's got a pan. And he's like, you put down your pan, I'll put down my pan if you put down your stick, and I will drive you away from here. And so she agrees, and he drives off, and, that's a thing. So they all get back there, and she's wandering through the woods because like her friends are scattered, nail guns, and like she can't go out the window, and her friend gets a nail in the eye, and like her other friend gets like destroyed by like a fan belt or something because she fixing the car that was unfixable that she now fixed so they could get away. No, seriously, the car is broken in the beginning. They have no Wi-Fi. They don't know how to fix a car, but all of a sudden they know how to fix a car. And so she's fixing it, but she's like head first in the car, like dived in, and only her legs are sticking out. And like, I guess they couldn't show the blood for some reason. I mean, if you're gonna watch a Slumber Party Massacre, like you sort of want to see the blood. So she finds out like the lady they met at the place where they were looking at like the weird statues and stealing beer from because they're apparently underage and being able to go camping. Um, is like the mother of the dude from the remake, from the original, but they remade, and now she's pulling a Friday the 13th where her son is dead, and she's like, ha ha ha, I'm the killer. So the original mother appears from 1993 because magically she got up there because she knew where they were going, even though in the beginning of the movie she's like, no, we're going. There's like 4 different places they were going. So she like stabs her with a drill and does all this stuff, and then they like drive off in a car and like 4 people live, and I'm just like, okay. I guess one dude's just randomly left at the cabin alive, because he's on a horror tour. Um, I mean, if you're gonna buy a $14 movie at Walmart, um, let me put this in perspective here. This is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm gonna be the unpopular opinion here. It's just, apparently this is um they have cleverish tricks up their sleeves. And like, did someone pay these reviewers? Like, Kelly's script is subliminally subversive without too heavy-handed on the story messaging. Okay, whoa. I'm gonna stop you right there. The amount of times they say feminism, and I thought you were one of them feminists, and oh no, you're a dude, you're probably gonna kill us. Are you pushing the male agenda? Like, it's constantly in this movie. I think it's a joke. I don't know. Well, let's look at another one here. Dana Esterhazy's postmodern remake introverts the male gaze. Sure. Yeah, that does that in the film. Taking a page from 2018's Halloween. Satire drives into the trauma that comes with the horror. We barely see any of the trauma. Like, there's one line in this movie where they're like, hey, I came up here to find the truth to save my mother, but in the end, I realized I was torturing her, and now I'm gonna go save her. So, it touches on that for like maybe 30 seconds. Esterhazy is showing us she knows how to play the games by the old rules, but subversive. Again, people are just really happy, that someone is subverting the expectation. So here's one that's interesting. I have many questions all the time. Slumber Massacre remake captures what works about the original. Let me tell you what worked about the original. Nothing. It is a bad movie. It starts off with dudes gazing through a window at women having a slumber party, and then they get drilled, and then the women get drilled, and one person survives, and someone gets murdered in a gym in a telephone thing. The blood's not there, the acting's not there, the cinematography's not great. It's not good. It's a Roger Corman flick, made like literally in a week. It doesn't really have a lot to offer except if you love the 80s. Number 2's good. It doesn't have the 80s charm, but makes, like, again, a lot of these reviews are like, it's not as fun or overly ambitious in the last act, but it doesn't have the 80s charm. But they're like, it's a perfect movie. I'm a little bit confused how this is coming out here. The remake pays respect to the source material. This is what it does. Some guys gaze through a window, they show some dudes' chests, and there's a guitar that they made. That's a retrospective. That's how they pay respect to the original. That's the sequel they're paying respect to, not the original. Esterhazy shows us how to... I've read that review. A fun reworking of a tarnished classic. Slumber Party offers a newer, younger horror generation for a perfectly scary sleepover. Okay, this movie's not scary. This is what I think this is what Scream was trying to do, but Scream did it 1,000 times better. I've never been a fan of the sequels of Scream, but I think the first Scream has a lot to offer to the genre, and I really like the cast. I know people love them, but the first Scream probably is the best, and that's the one I've seen twice now since I watched it last spring. Because again, I haven't got around to a bunch of these movies. But this is not scary. They show the killer's face immediately. They show the weapon. He's fully exposed. There's no element of mystery. Updates the horror slasher, delivering both kills and silliness. The kills are not delivered. If you're gonna do the kills, show me the fucking blood or don't bother. This is not good. It keeps the ingredients and source that makes the subgenre entertaining without letting the new toppings go over the top. This is definitely not an over-the-top movie. Have these people seen the original film? Do people like the original film? Do you like shitty movies? I watch a lot of them. I watch a lot of shitty movies. Here's one. It's a less shocking, scary horror film, though there is plenty of gore. There's no gore in this movie. Are these people reviewing a different movie? And I'm going back to my page here, Slumber Party Massacre 2021. Slumber Party Massacre is a welcome addition to the new wave of modern slashers. What new wave of modern slashers are we talking about? I mean, Freaky's interesting. I think that's interesting. I think the Final Girls, that one is cool, where they're stuck like in this repeat. I think Thomas Red's really funny in that, and Elite is quite charming. But I don't know if I'd call that new. I would call them throwback. Here's the worst review. Slumber Party Massacre is a remake that gets everything right, powered by the cast of Final Girls who do a few things to say the horror comical treatment of the... Yes, it definitely comments on it. And they're telling you what the movie is and what it's doing, but they're not telling me why it's good. Yes, it switches the roles. Yes, it does a few tropes from the 80s, and then it overdoes it. It nails that punchline into the ground, so it's no longer funny. Who is this movie for? No, seriously. Who is this movie for? Is this for a blind rhino stumbling into quicksand while trying to listen to Michael Jackson's Thriller? Possibly. I think that's the target audience. And look, I know I'm being really hard on a movie I got from Walmart that they didn't even release on Blu-ray. They didn't even believe in a Blu-ray release. All they had was the DVD. That's it. Brand new release. Just the DVD. No Blu-ray. It wasn't even like sold out in another section. And I'm being really hard on this. And I know I didn't expect a lot, but I expected to have fun. The thing about the Slumber Party Massacre genre, or any of this, if you go Sorority Party Massacre, you go Sleepaway Camp, or any of these Motel Hell, you go any of these campy 80s movies, 80s style movies, even in the vein of Freaky. You expect to go in, have a lot of fun, comment on the horror genre. You expect it to be well edited, well shot, and maybe the script's a little bad. So in this one, the script is awful. That's okay. You expect it to comment on the horror genre. It does that. It does that way too much. It's really, really, really trying to be Scream. But the biggest issue here is its strange 3-act structure. Act 1, intro. Hey, look at me. Here's what happened in the past. Cool. Slumber Party Massacre title. Here's our current state. Let's see what's going on with all this nonsense, you know? Act 3. Look, we killed the killer. The killer's dead. So now we need a twist. Cool. 3rd act. Oh no. The men are helpless. Now the women need to do it. Okay. But now there's a new killer. If you'd set this movie up where there were 2 killers, and they were like, why is there more than one? We heard there were only 1 killer, but there's 2 killers going at it. That would work. If you set this movie up where you see the son and they think he's the killer and he's really suspicious, but they kill him and he never killed anyone and it's actually the mother, that would work. But if you kill the killer at the end of the second act with 40 minutes to go in the movie and you introduce another killer, you should have made another movie. You should have killed the killer at the end of this one, and then you should have had a second one. I mean, what are they making these for? This is a Roger Corman thing. Scream, shout, whatever. They acquired a ton of these things, like 250 plus movies. You got the rights to all of this. You're making these movies for less than 10, 15 million. What's the budget on this thing? I'm very curious what the budget on this thing is. Let's see here. It was only an hour and 26 minutes, so I'm just glad it wasn't longer. Made for TV, I think. Okay, it doesn't list the budget. But so you make this, say, for $12 million. You're at an isolated place. They shot in South Africa, I understand, for 10 days, maybe a week. That's what the Wikipedia tells me. So why don't you make a complete movie from beginning to end, comment on these subjects, make it fun, add a little more humor, and then bring me in to a sequel? Because you're going to make your money back on this. You know how many people walk by the DVD rack and are like, oh, brand recognition. Yeah, that's a thing. This is a piece of shit. And like, I say that about the first, second, and third Slumber Party Massacre, but this isn't even a fun movie. I don't really think I want a movie that comments on today's society. I am aware that the stereotypes have been put in place. I'm aware that all this stuff has happened. I'm aware that women have been treated well in horror movies for a while. And I think there's an art to subtly commenting on it. I don't think we need to initially call it out. We get it. We are not stupid. We're not stupid thinking, oh no, this has never... No, we get it. We totally get it that has happened. So be subtle. I think this movie suffers from being a bad movie. But not like a good bad movie. Like Sleepaway Camp is a good bad movie. Slumber Party Massacre 2 is a good bad movie. Motel Hell is literally a movie about people who kidnap people off the highway by like building terrible sheep and like bad traps, putting their car into a swamp, and then putting them in a human head farm so they can make sausage for their thing. And he dresses in a pig mask and runs around with a chainsaw. That is a bad movie. Another bad movie, for example, Sleepaway Camp. Angela goes to camp. She starts killing people. We get very creative kills with a curling iron and bees, and like there's a lot of nonsense going on there. But it's laughable. We have stupid lines. We have stupid lines from Judy. You know, we have my name is Meg, M-E-G, Meg. Even with Sleepaway Camp 2, she's like, don't do drugs, stay in school. And number 3, she pretends to be a teenager like it's absurd. And they know what they're doing. But I feel like with this movie, they were trying to make an actually good movie out of Slumber Party Massacre. Why? What do you have to gain by making a good Slumber Party Massacre? What are you trying to say? What does the world need to know that Slumber Party Massacre can offer? If you want to make a good movie, make an original property that's not related to the shitty versions from the 80s and the early 90s, or the spin-off Sorority Massacre, which is so boring. Like, go and make an original movie that comments on this, and make your own killer, and comment on other things as well, comment on other movies. Like, you can't be Scream when you're Slumber Party Massacre. And again, I am in it longer than I thought. Who is this for? Who? Is this for a chimpanzee trying to juggle grenades while on a zoo? I don't even know if that's an analogy. I don't even know if this is a movie. Just gonna stop talking now. It's stressing me out.